You'll never guess what. Rush Limbaugh decided that there may be another civil war taking place around the corner. I'm Bernie Bro, and I guess I have to have a conversation about Rush Limbaugh. During this past week, Rush Limbaugh predicted a second civil war of sorts on his program. It involved the lockdowns. Basically, just using Rush logic. That's a laugh. Rush logic. He's basically saying, kind of doing a conspiracy, sort of a soft Alex Jones conspiracy theory. Basically, he's saying that the lockdown laws are taking place mostly in blue states with the express purpose of crashing the economy to make it so that Donald Trump will not be reelected. Uh, and of course, I think that's bullshit. That's not why. Now, with regard to the lockdown laws, do I think we kind of need to open up? I kind of will. I would say yes, cautiously, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe some places like California or some of the northeastern states are probably doing it just a little bit too long. However, as I said, you could phase it in, and once the lockdown is lifted, pretty much all around the country, there's a lot of people that are not going to go out to restaurants, and there's going to be a lot of people still covering their faces. I mean, and people are just going to be cautious. I mean, and yeah, I know life is risky. So I mean, even I would say, it's time to have a sense of normalcy restored. The thing about it with the lockdown laws that took place, that would have been all fine to still be in lockdown if we were to have a universal basic income and medical care available to everyone for everyone to cope with it. A a moratorium on or freeze on rent and a lot of debt loans, what have you, to just do a temporary freeze on that for the time being. A moratorium until people can kind of get back on their feet. Um, that's what needed to be done. And hey, as much as they didn't lock down in places like Sweden, some people are criticizing Sweden for not taking COVID too seriously. But in places like Sweden, hey, they have medical care for everybody, and people are taking precautions out there. They're kind of voluntarily social distancing, and so anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But the lockdowns, basically, my point is the lockdowns wouldn't be so bad right now if people were guaranteed an income, and instead of giving the $4.5 trillion to corporations, and including businesses that are not even registered in the United States, they're registered down in the Cayman Islands. What the hell is that about? But Stephen Mnuchin, and it's the swamp. And Donald Trump promised to drain the swamp, but Stephen Mnuchin is the swamp. He's part of the swamp. And corporate welfare, Donald Trump, you're being part of the swamp too in that regard. But I digress. But as far as the economy is concerned, I didn't think the economy was all that great and all that hot to begin with. And for some reason, Republican Party hacks want to act like, well, because there's a Republican in the White House, everything is hunky dory. No, no, no. Uh, you're just being silly partisans at that point. But let me just say this. Let me sum up Rush Limbaugh in one word with a short commentary about him afterwards. Hypocrite. That's what he is. This arrogant, authoritarian prick uses conspiracy theories about the lockdown laws, just claiming that the Democrats want to get elected and will use any means to do this. So about a decade ago, Rush Limbaugh, when Barack Obama got elected in 2008 and got sworn in 2009, I've heard some reasonable Republicans saying, "Well, I didn't vote for him, but I hope he does well." And Rush Limbaugh said, "No, I hope that his presidency will be a failure. I don't want him to succeed." Folks, oh God, I got to stop saying folks as he says that. Let me tell you all this. I mean, I couldn't stand George W. Bush. I wanted his presidency to be a success. I didn't particularly care for Barack Obama. He wasn't far left enough. But I still wanted his presidency to be a success. I did not vote for Donald Trump, and I wasn't exactly popping champagne corks when he got elected. But you know what? I didn't want his presidency to be a failure either. I don't care who you are. I want your presidency to succeed. And I define the metrics of succeeding is when overall society is doing well. The economy is doing well, and pretty much everybody in the economy is doing well. And we're not and we're kind of a stable, peaceful society, and nobody's freedoms or civil liberties are being eroded. Those are good guidelines of what I would call a successful presidency. Um, in my 51 years of living, nobody has achieved that. So that's that with that. So he wanted Obama to fail, but then he gets mad if the resistance wants Trump to fail, and these repressive lockdown laws. Well, let's see here. He was, the repressive lockdown laws. There's something you could say about that, but you know what? He supports all kinds of repressive laws. I remember back in the George Herbert Walker Bush years. That's George W. Bush's dad. He was also a piece of shit too, by the way. Um, Trying to create boot camps for for nonviolent drug offenders. Rush Limbaugh was for throwing the book and putting young kids in boot camp. But when that lard ass got when they found on non-prescription illegal pain killing drugs, he wanted compassion. And I remember telling somebody, I know, I hope they put that son of a bitch in jail over it. Even though there's an empathy factor about painkillers, I hope that he didn't have any compassion. So why should anybody I show any compassion for him in that regard? But ironically, I mean, uh, the way that they went about his conviction didn't jive with the ACLU, an organization he despised, came to his defense, ironically enough. And then another time in 1997, a federal employee in the government had a picture of Rush Limbaugh on his desk, and they tried to make him remove it from his desk, and he refused, and he got in trouble, and he got the ACLU involved, and something along the lines of the ACLU said it was inappropriate action, and even Rush Limbaugh had to admit that the ACLU would surprise you occasionally. Rush, why the fuck would the ACLU doing good things surprise you? ACLU is an awesome organization. But anyhow, it's just this blowhard. I mean, who got the Congressional Medal of the Presidential Medal of Honor for Freedom? I mean, again, I have said it once, and I'll say it 1,000 times. There's no way that an authoritarian prick like Rush Limbaugh deserved the Presidential Medal of Honor for Freedom. Since when is Rush Limbaugh really for freedom? Gosh, and it's funny. I probably, well, I'll tell you a funny story. I've had people tell me over the years, "You going and talking down about Rush Limbaugh. I bet you never even taken the time to listen to his program." Well, let me tell y'all something. I probably, since I'm in the car quite a bit here and there, And there's a lot of times I'll have the radio on and I'll just listen to Rush Limbaugh on the radio, and I'm just thinking, wow, he really did say this. And just about anything he says is predictable as hell. And if it has an R beside the name, he will defend it. He would defend Satan himself if he had an R beside his name. And that's how Rush Limbaugh operates. Total partisan hack with just shamelessly holding water for the Republicans. And and the fact that he still has some kind of an audience astounds me. And the fact that there are people that still think he's whatever he has to say is gospel. It's really just as I said, astounding. Just amazing. I'm befuddled thinking about it. But Rush Limbaugh, you know, hypocrite and calling for a second civil war. Have you no shame? Yeah, and I remember just all these years, his mouth just nonstop with nothing but diarrhea spewing out on the air, 3 hours a day. I'm Bernie Bro. If you like what you heard, feel free to subscribe. If you hate what you heard, you can just either lump it or what have you. But anyway, thumbs up if you like, thumbs down if you hate. Tell your friends about this channel and feel free to subscribe and urge others to do the same. Peace.